3 alone, and then with the 8 foot. Before we hear them, the quintadena was a late addition to the instrument. There was discussion about whether there would be room for a 16-foot, but Magnus, you wanted a 16-foot, not to play necessarily at 16-foot pitch. Can you say something about the design idea?
Well, the organ is mainly made to be used as a continuing instrument, and so I don't need these really high notes when playing in the right hand. So I can play the 16-foot stock this an octave higher. So I get it played as an 8-foot, and then I can use the bass for another sound. Because we have the divided register.
Right, so we'll hear that soon. So the idea is that the continuo is basically on a 2 hands together operation, and this space can be used as a second keyboard. An 8-foot keyboard based on the quintadena 16 at 8-foot pitch. So we could hear the quintadena 16 first alone, perhaps, and then with the 8-foot prints. Yes, perhaps the Gedacht alone first. So the Gedacht is through the whole compass. Found space for a quint that speaks from C1 up, and so it shares the same sliders, both shares the same sliders for the subsemitones. So when you pull out the 2-foot right now, you also get the 3-foot. So we could hear the 8-4-3 to plano, I think. The 3-foot and the 2-foot follow the scaling principles of the 8 and 4, but they are in other notes. hiding behind the green man. I can lift up the... Trust me, Magnus. So, here's where the Orgel is. And it's not divided. It's the only stop that's not divided in bass and treble.
The Orgel is divided.
Oh, it is divided in bass and treble. It's the only stop that doesn't have such semitones. I knew there was something. The Orgel was based on a study of a Orgel that Mats built for a baldachin organ, an organ about the same size as Walter's instrument, except that it not only has 8-foot wooden pipes, it also has Orgel and cymbal and 4-foot. Yes. Anyway, yes. But the Dulcian is a design that entirely reacted to the needs of creating a full bass and the amount of space that was left over. Because this was the final design wish from Magnus's side that we were able to, that Mats was able to incorporate into the design. There's no room left in the organ at this point. So the Dulcian is inside the console. The 16-foot Dulcian.
It's not entirely because of that. It's
no.
Also that we didn't want the second mechanic actually going into the pedal. So it's another.
Exactly. Yes. Right. Of course. Yes. Because it's played at the pedal and with the long movement action. Yes. Thank you. You would have had to have an entirely second set of trackers running only for one stop. So there's plenty of room for a Dulcian in there, and it sounds like this. Lovely. So the two reeds complement the entire layout of the instrument. We now have an instrument in the long movement version where the Dulcian is quite a ways from the organ itself, and I'd like to come back to that point at the end as well. The long movement that Peter Holman talked about, in this case, is in two different boxes. So the box on your left is for the manual action, and the box on your right contains all of the action for not only all of the stops divided in bass and treble, but also all of the subsemitones. And this was one of the pictures that Peter mentioned, so I thought I'd show it. At the Handel commemoration of 1784, they borrowed a loan to Green organ for £300 and had it re-installed.
Yeah, well, it was actually built for Canterbury Cathedral. They moved to borrow it before it was installed.
Yes, that's always a good plan.
And they must have borrowed it back again.
They did. Yes. And because these engravings are just the HDTV of the 1700s, you can go very, very close, and you can see.
That's your face.
Yes, but I think this must be the page turner.
I think you're right. Yeah.
This must be Smart.
No, Smart.
Not Smart. Smart was dead.
He was only a small boy then.
Oh, but this is.
Yes, I think Smart that is in the 1790s.
Yeah.
Concerts of ancient music.
Yes, but isn't that nice?
There was a reason why they needed the page turn is that they played the choruses from full score and
talking yesterday about the position of the two principal violinists as well.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. So the principal violinists are basically almost standing in the harpsichord. And they can, not everyone in this picture can even see the harpsichord, much less hear it. But the director at the keyboard is playing a percussive chord of the harpsichord that gives an impulse to the two principal violinists. And everyone around them can see the bow. And so it's this combination.
But Bernie made a big point that no one was beating time. And this was a propaganda. In fact, there were people behind the pillars, on each side, surreptitiously beating time. I found a letter that reveals that.
They can maybe be forgiven, right? Because this is what it is.
But the whole point is that I think the whole point of propaganda is designed to give the impression that this wonderful machine was operating as if by magic.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone was amazed that they could sing and play to such a large group. There had never been such a large group in Britain before, almost anywhere else.
Anywhere else, I think, yeah. Yes, but I think it wasn't entirely unmagical. I think it came very close to the goal. The coupler mechanisms we're going to look at now, with your help. We'll go through them one by one. This is the mechanic for the long movement, the manual, but it also shows how to connect the harpsichord to the organ. So, underneath the harpsichord manual, Edoardo will be pointing to the coupler. Yes. And if you draw those out, it's two boxes that have these stickers riding in them. And when they're pushed back, the stickers are above the back frame of the instrument, but when they're pulled forward, then the stickers wind up underneath a sticky-uppy bit on the end of the organ key, which we call a dog leg. And we can hear.
And of course you can combine with
the organ, yes. What we basically have is two divided manuals connected to one another. So start practicing harmony, and there's a 16-foot manual here because of the remaining. So there are many, even though we designed this as a continuous instrument, it affords many solo formations. And one of my favorites is to play a flute and harpsichord solo with the gedeckt and only have the harpsichord connected to there. Yes, okay. Yes, and then accompany it with the harpsichord. here's the Dulcian 16, and here is the lever that opens the palette for the Dulcian 16. So that opens anyway when you play a pedal note. But on the back of this, there's a sticker that pushes up. This gets pulled down, that gets pulled down, which means this bit goes up. And this bit goes up and pushes on a piece of wood that's glued to every one of the manual trackers. And when the coupler is engaged, it pushes up the manual tracker as if the manual key was playing it, and harmlessly passes through a slot in the manual keyboard so that it doesn't move the key. Or maybe it does move the key.
No.
So it's possible to play anything from the manual in the pedal. Anything that's in the lower half of the manual, you can play something else with, right? And then Magnus said, okay, we've done that. Wouldn't it be wonderful to also play the Dulcian from a manual? Which is one moment that said Mats, I don't know, well, it was left on it twice. And then you have the solution, which is wonderfully simple, really. It's when you play this separate tracker from the manual key, then this lifts up and that goes down and this goes up and that opens the Dulcian. So you can play
with the 16-foot
in the manual.
In the manual and the Dulcian in the bass.
Yes, exactly. Yes, sure. So now you have two 16-foot stops. That maybe you wouldn't want to do in the pedal in public. That gives you 3 different positions for 3 different levers, and each of these levers controls 2 of the keys on the keyboard. And then this is what happens. So these are the 3 levers that Edoardo is pointing to now.
Yes.
There, yes. And so you get 3 different positions for each of these levers, and you can think of this as a schematic of, even though it's not completely true, there aren't ovals in the extra sliders for the subsemitones. There are separate holes. But imagine that you're looking down on top of the sliders as well. So in position number 1, you get C sharp and G sharp. In position 2, you still have C sharp, but now you have A flat. And in position 3, you have D flat and A flat. And here, D sharp, E sharp, D sharp, F, E flat, F, A sharp, B sharp, A sharp, C, and B flat, C. And that's at 465. But when you move the keyboard to 415, all of them change, of course. So this is an overview of all of the subsemitones available at A 415 pitch, at low pitch. The piano is at A 440 right in the middle. And we can discuss a little bit later why these 415 and 465 pitches are important for your performance practice. But I've set the 465 keyboard 2 keys over to the right, so it's easier to visualize, I hope, that in the 415 position, 1, 2, 3, there's just D, and in the 465 position, there's just C. But here, there's E flat and D sharp, which correspond to C sharp and D flat there. So this, the split between C and B sharp is so that you have A sharp, B flat at A 465. So some of the so-called natural keys being split are a design choice in order to make sure that all of the normal subsemitones are available on the sharps in both positions. So what happens practically, if we just reduce the amount of information we're looking at, is if you want normal with an E flat, F sharp, G sharp, and B flat, you put the first button down to the position 1, and the second and third all the way to position 3. And can you demonstrate?
Oops. Better. Different.
Pure third now between C and E, pure minor third between C and E flat. And then if you're playing, say, a movement in G major, where you need a D sharp leading tone to the relative minor in E, then maybe then you would move the second lever to position 2, and maybe we hear some E minor. What changes are happening in the ensemble? This is one of our try to find ways of documenting over the next period. But one thing that I think is helpful to think about, or I'm finding fascinating, is when the Lyceum wound up so far away from the organ, one of our concerns was how's it going to blend with the rest of the instrument? And in fact, with a long movement instrument that's not that long a movement, the harpsichord isn't 20 feet away from the organ. It's still in the same space. So what's it going to feel like to have the harpsichord sound coming from here, the organ sound coming from there, the dulcian there? I went back to Jennings' letter about Handel's desire to have this long movement organ. And Jennings says that Handel was enthusiastic to hear with what exactness he would be able to perform the oratorios with this new tool.
It gave him greater control.
Yeah, greater control, yes. And so, one of the things that's marvelous when you play the organ and the harpsichord together, you can just play some of it so we hear. Just concentrate on how they're filling the space, how they're separate, but they're making ensemble. have is a mechanical musical marvel. It's 3 automatons. Here are 5. But you have the dulcian playing right next to the cello. You have the harpsichord giving impulses to the violin. You have the organ sound supporting the intonation of the entire ensemble from the back. And none of them are out of sync. So in this case, it's not propaganda, I think, on Bernie's part, to say that what we have is an automated ensemble of 3 mechanical musicians distributed evenly throughout the ensemble, supporting various aspects of the music and allowing a kind of accuracy and control and exactness both from intonation and rhythmical impulse. And it's really fun to hear. I can hear a difference already. I mean, it was a great group. But these 3 mechanical musicians guiding everyone and supporting everyone on the ensemble, I think is an unexpected gift. Or maybe this is what you always expected. Yeah, I just discovered this. I don't know. Just to conclude, we can go back to Brixen and think about what Magnus has created as a kind of ideal continuo instrument, and think about the brothers in this chapel who made concerted music because the libraries left. There's a lot of ensemble music that was performed here, both instrumentalists and choir singers and the organ. And to see what developed that's not your normal church organ. This upper manual has subsemitones and is at A415, I believe. And the lower manual has no subsemitones and it's at A465. So it is Magnus's organ. It's these two aspects for performance. And there's a separate pedal, and there is a lever that you can throw to change the pedal board from 415 to 465, which means that in performance, both pitches must have been used regularly in alternante, or there wouldn't be a mechanical solution to change so quickly. So my fond hope and my
challenge
to you and the Göteborg Baroque is to find a way to start exploring this marvelous library of ensemble music that, since the restoration of the organ, has not been explored even in Brixen.
Has started.
It's at a local university, and I think that this now, as a continual resource, provides a tool for working with this repertoire without having to go all the way to Northern Italy. Yeah. So thank you, Edoardo, for your beautiful. And we could have a little scratchy break, and then I think informal discussion is probably